Welcome back to this Pittsburgh Sports Saviors. It is Thanksgiving, November 28th, about 11 a.m., right before the Steelers or the football games for the day. I don't know why I would say Steelers. They don't play till Sunday. But Lee, happy Thanksgiving. How are you?
Happy Thanksgiving, bud. I'm doing all right. How about yourself?
I'm in there. I'm good. I got this cold going, trying to get
Yeah,
through it. But
same here. Yeah, I got
yeah,
something fucking brewing too, so I get it.
you got to grind through it, right?
Yeah, that's about it. Yeah,
So it's been a week since a disappointing loss to the
yeah,
Browns.
yeah,
Any thoughts on the game or anything like that you want to go
yeah,
into?
yeah. It's just it just seems like it's an every year thing with the Steelers and the coaching type of thing where you play a good team and you win, but then you play down to the competition. I mean, this is a 2-8 team. They were on their second or third starting string quarterback, I believe, and I get that weather becomes a factor at a certain point. It was snowing pretty crazy at towards as the game was going on. But it just seemed like they had our number that whole game, and we could not do anything. And I mean, we couldn't run the ball, we couldn't pass the ball, and the defense couldn't stop them. And it was one thing after another after another. It just didn't seem like it was a good good game overall for the Steelers.
Yeah, it was a frustrating watch. Beginning of the game, the offense just couldn't get anything going, like you're saying, and it was like
Mm-hmm.
situations with missed field goal, turnover on downs, little
Yeah.
things that just weren't working out for them in general.
Mm-hmm.
And
Mm-hmm.
then that snow starts coming in, and it gets a little crazy. But the Steelers were able to pull some. They fell into a hole. It was at 18-6 at one point was the
Yeah.
biggest deficit that they had
Yeah.
against them, and they were able to come back and get a lead 19-18. At that point in the game, you're feeling good, especially after you get an interception on the next drive. You're at
Yeah.
19
Yeah.
to
Yeah.
8, and then the 3-and-out, only 6 yards on that drive to end the last real possession, really, for the
Mm-hmm.
Steelers.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Give the ball back to the Browns, and the Browns just take it right down the field. 9 plays, 45 yards for a touchdown. That was another thing I didn't. That the punt on that play was just all miserable.
Oh
The,
yeah.
the,
Yeah.
the third down play was miserable. Justin Fields hasn't thrown the ball in like over a month.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
He
Yeah.
goes there on a 3rd and 4, throws the ball to George Pickens, incomplete. I actually have I think I have that play. We'll get into that later. We'll,
Yeah.
we'll get
Yeah.
into the whole idea of Justin Fields coming in and all that. But first, I'm going to let Tomlin break down what he saw from the game. This is
Yeah.
from Tuesday.
Okay.
Assessment of our last performance. As I said after the game, man, I just thought that we warmed up to it. And by warming up to it, I mean we didn't take control of the game at the early juncture. They made some splash plays, and particularly Myles Garrett, I thought, made some splash plays. We did our due diligence schematically in terms of working to minimize them. But like a lot of great players, man, he overcame some of those things in some instances, and I thought he just provided splash for them, not only in terms of playmaking, but the energy, the wave that he provided.
So yeah, that's a good point. We were talking leading up the game about the TJ
Yeah.
Watt, Myles Garrett stuff. We played Garrett, talking some shit leading up, but he came out there and played amazingly. That was probably the best game I've seen him play against the Steelers. 3 sacks,
Yeah. Something
fumble.
like that. Yeah. Yep. Yeah.
It was very impressive on his part, and at the same time, TJ Watt had one of his less impactful games that you'll see
Mm-hmm.
him have
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
overall. Yeah, Garrett, 3 solo tackles, 3 sacks, 3 tackles for loss, 3 QB hits. Just a solid game from him. That fumble that he caused. What are you thinking about Garrett? He showed up, right? There's
Yeah.
not much else to say, right?
Yeah, he like he said, let the better man
Yeah.
win in that competition, between him and TJ, and he definitely showed out and he performed like the Pro Bowler and All Star player that he is. I mean, he's very talented. He's a force to be reckoned with, and and he's just a great defender. On defense. And it's unfortunate we have to play him twice a year. On the Browns, but he came and played, and yeah, you got to give him his flowers, like Mike Tomlin is.
Yeah, it really was like one of the games we see from TJ Watt where he just
Yeah.
takes over
Mm-hmm.
and helps them win. And that's
Yeah.
what we saw there. Sucks when it's the other guy doing it, not your guy,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah. Of course.
Mhm.
the rest of them rode. Not only the players, but I thought environmentally. When he made those splash plays early in the game, it made it a tougher environment and thus tougher for us to navigate. I thought we smiled in the face of that adversity and we fought our way back into the football game and made some plays of our own. And then in the waning moments of the game, I thought they simply made more plays than we did. I thought we had some moments, but I thought they made more plays than we did. And oftentimes when you're in tight ball games, it comes down to that weighty playmaking in the latter moments of games. They made a couple fourth down plays. I thought the Winston touchdown run on 4th down and 2 obviously was a significant example of that. We had an opportunity to get into our 4-minute offense and maybe close the game out. We were unsuccessful in that endeavor, and we coupled that with a less than ideal punt. And so, we got to get back to weighty playmaking, particularly in the waning moments of games. That's life in the NFL. There's a fine line between drinking wine and squashing grapes. We know that. We live that. When you take a step back and watch ball at a distance like we were this week, it kind of verifies that sentiment if you didn't know it. And so we're excited about getting back to work this week, man. We know we got a big game this week in some AFC North competition. We
Cut him
didn't
off
take
real
control of the
quick.
game at the early juncture.
So he mentioned a couple things there. Yeah, the 4th down efficiency, 4 for 4 for the Browns,
Wow.
1 for 3 for the Steelers. Both the Steelers' failures were just frustrating to watch. The first one, I think, was the second drive of the game with Justin Fields comes out there. He ends up we're going up for it on 4th and 2. No, I apologize. We had the yeah, no, that's right. Okay, yeah. Right, Justin Fields went right tackle, lost 2 yards on a 4th and 2, gave the Browns the ball back at their 40-yard line. That was a frustrating one, and I think the other one was Jalen Warren later in the game, right?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
First drive of the second half, 4th and 1, get -1 yards. So both those drives ending with 4th and 2, 4th and 1. You just got to get those. That's what you need to do in this league. You have to be able to get 1 yard on 4th down. You have to get 2 yards in 4th down. If you're going to go for it in this situation, you just got to do it. And the Browns did do that with 4 for 4 on 4th down is just something you're not expecting to see.
Yeah.
Very frustrating. Overall, the first half, especially for me, was frustrating. I think 2 things coming out of it. One, we can go into Fields first. And what are your thoughts on Fields and what they how they utilize him? I think he only had 6 snaps. I wrote down some of the significant ones. The first one was that 4th down play, 4th and 2. He lost 2 yards on that. Came back in later in the game. He had a 2nd and 6 where he got a 30-yard run, which was really good run. We ended up scoring on that drive. He had also on that drive, he had a negative 2-yard play, but then later on, he roughing the passer got us into scoring range. Russell Wilson was able to finish that drive off. But the big question, the big play decision that Tomlin gets asked about after the game is the 3rd and 4, which was it led to an incomplete pass from Fields to Pickens. What do you think how they utilize Fields in general? What are your thoughts?
I mean, it seems like they're using him in like an RPO package type of thing. And I mean, he's definitely I think he's a better runner right now at his age, than Russell Wilson for sure. So he could definitely be utilized in a position like that. But I mean, passing the ball, I mean, if you're going to have him in there to pass the ball, you might as well have him in there the whole game. Then I think if you're just going to bring him in just for little plays, it should be running plays or maybe handoffs to like a fake run a QB sneak and then hand off to the running back or whatever type of thing. I don't think you need him in there passing the ball right now. I mean, I think that's why you have Russell Wilson in there. And if that's what they think is going to do it for us to have him make little plays like that. I mean, it's, I mean, I guess that's what it is. I mean, but I don't think I really liked how they had him in there that game, with some of the things. I mean, the running was fine, but like you said, you got to pick up a 4th down. If you're going to be in there to make a play like that, you got to be in there and pick up the yards. But I don't know. It just seemed a little off on how I think they're really trying to play him.
Yeah, I'm not like overall the concept of him having his own packages, him having his own drives does not bother me. The
Yeah,
question is, should he be out there on a 3rd and 4 with 3 minutes and 34 seconds left?
I don't
When you're
think so.
trying to run the clock out, and you have with Russell Wilson, a veteran Hall of Fame quarterback. I just don't think that's the time you want him to throw the ball for the first time in
No,
like over a month. And like
it's
you were mentioning him not passing, but you have to keep the offense or the defense honest.
yeah,
I'm going to play some Tomlin. Tomlin talks about how the fact that there was like 11 men in the box on that play, so you got to pass there. But why put yourself in a situation where you have Fields as the guy who's throwing the ball, where he's not proven himself to be a great thrower.
yeah,
You have to throw every once in a while if he's in there though.
yeah,
I think,
yeah.
but
No, I hear you.
yeah,
I didn't realize we were talking about the end of the game, which
yeah,
I
yeah. The end
think
of the
that
game.
okay. So then I think that was wrong because even he talked about in that press conference we just listened to, we didn't get to run our 4-minute offense. Well, why is he in there in your 4-minute offense then?
Uh huh.
You
Yeah,
know, at that point.
I mean, and they were probably thinking that he's gonna be able to close out the game there, but they call timeout after that 2nd and 7. They gained 3 yards with Harris, and they call timeout.
Yeah,
And the play they draw up is Justin Fields throwing a ball to Pickens along the sidelines. I get you have a one-on-one, but it just
yeah,
doesn't seem to be the greatest decision. And the reporters gave him some flack for it. Here's just them talking about the idea of bringing Fields in and when
yeah.
they brought him in.
Mike, what have you guys learned about having the sub package where Justin comes in for Russ through a couple of weeks? When you evaluate the production there, what's the benefit of having him come in mid-series as opposed to on first down?
You know, it's a component of what we do. I've been pretty clear about that. Once Justin got healthy, he's a viable and capable dude, and it's something that our opponents have to be aware of. When we use it or how much we utilize it will be dependent on plans week to week.
What's the benefit? I mean, what's the benefit? Usually, when something like that happens, it's at the start of a series, but you guys are doing it like on second down, on third down. What's the benefit from the coaching staff? So you pointed to it.
There's a strategic component that I won't get into detailing, but certainly we feel comfortable with how we infuse it and when we infuse it, certainly.
So there's no concern about disrupting the rhythm of the offense or anything like that?
Certainly there's a potential of that, but we're more excited about the challenges that it presents the opposing unit. And I think that's reflective of our general attitude. We live in our hope as opposed to our fears.
I thought all that was fair questions, and I thought there
Yeah.
was solid back and forth. Tomlin, I gave reasonable answers too, and
Yeah.
maybe it is a little bit like, oh yeah, well, I know what's going on, you guys don't, kind of deal. But I mean, he might know what's going on, and we don't know. But
Yeah.
I thought those were good back and forth. Any comments on that?
No, I mean, I think that it's definitely makes more of an understanding of what his thought process was during the final minutes of the game and how he wanted to kind of approach that ending of the game. I mean, I get it. You want to try to throw the other team off and maybe throw a little flash in there to get them confused and things like that. But I think if you have an offensive plan that's been working all season to end out games, I think you should stick with it and try to. I get mixing things up every now and then, but I think if you already have a good scheme, I don't think there's a point in changing that up like that.
Yeah, I get it from the standpoint they probably want to do right by Fields, and they
Yeah,
probably do see him as a guy who can be productive.
yeah,
But until you figure out exactly what you want to do, I think it's going to be a struggle to find the right
yeah,
way to use them, because it's not something I maybe I'm wrong, but Arthur Smith, I'm trying to think through his past. I don't see him as a guy who's had a situation where he was bringing in quarterbacks. Maybe I'm
yeah,
wrong. Maybe I can't
yeah,
remember
yeah.
timeline wise what he was doing with everything. But here's a little bit more on Fields, and then it shifts into George Pickens, who had an eventful few minutes at the end of the game there, I guess.
Yeah.
Justin said it was basically pick a side of the field. He was going to go for one-on-one. Was there anything else built in there where you had an intermediate route to get the first down?
No, we felt good about it, to be quite honest with you. It was a weighty moment. It was third medium. They had 11 guys within 5 yards of the line of scrimmage. We had GP matched up on a corner not named Denzel Ward. That feels like more than a 50-50 ball to me. And so we were comfortable with that decision.
Even though Justin hadn't thrown a pass in a game in a month?
Even though, certainly.
So yeah, that they went at him again there, and I think they're valid questions.
Yeah.
A 3rd and 4, I think that's right on the line. 3rd and 2, 3rd and 3. I know we're talking about a couple yards, but I do think it
Yeah.
makes a difference where you should have Russell in there. I think 3rd and 4 or longer. Russell should be in the game at that point there.
Yeah, I think so
think he's
too.
your
Yeah, I
guy.
agree.
He's your starter. He's a Hall of Fame guy. Put him in there. Put him in there and make him make the play. He could have had an intermediate route that they could have used. He could have done that same ball to Pickens. I just think you have to have Wilson in there.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, 3rd and medium. I mean, I that's anywhere between 4 and 6 yards. I would say, and I mean, I think you should have your starting quarterback. If it's closer to 3rd and 1, 3rd and 2, then yeah, I can see you can have him in there to maybe try to run the ball and get a few yards for another first down. But I don't know. Maybe, like you said, maybe he saw something and he thought maybe he knew what he could do, and maybe that's what it was. But
I think that was the play call for him. The play was for him to pick aside whoever he thought was open. Pickens has a one-on-one, like he's saying.
Yeah.
Like Mike Tomlin was just saying there, he likes that matchup. But I think the putting Fields in that situation is the issue, not the actual play in general.
Yeah, for sure.
Let's get into some Pickens here. Let him finish this comment here. I think he's asked about Pickens, and then we'll go into what Pickens had to say after the game.
Mike Giorgio also said after the game he didn't think the Browns were a very good team. The conditions kind of saved him. Are you all right with guys putting that out there, or do you wish you'd keep that frustration?
I'm not going to add color to people's comments. Their comments and thoughts and feelings are their own. I don't want them to be robots. I don't tell them what to think or say. And so I've just learned over the years, man, not to add color to what people say or their comments. Those are their comments and thoughts. And so if you want additional information or perspective on it, ask them.
So let's ask George.
All right.
The message, in the locker room.
Just keep grinding. Like I said, conditions played a huge part in today's game. I don't really think the Cleveland Browns are a good team at all. I think the conditions kind of saved them today.
You guys good?
So, I mean,
the conditions, huh?
The conditions were the problem. And I was watching the Hail Mary at the game.
Yeah.
It was definitely the fielding conditions that made Pickens not be able to jump up for this ball right here.
Exactly. Yeah.
Here's video of that.
Yeah.
Hail Mary ball. We got our best high point receiver just hanging out in the back there.
Hanging out.
Here's another little snippet of the brawl at the end of the game. If you want to call it a brawl.
Now you got Pickens upset about something to pull him away.
But of course, Tomlin has an excuse for that.
Involved in what looked like a post-game scuffle on the Hail Mary attempt. What happened on that play? What was he supposed to be doing?
I didn't see the video. I heard about it. Certainly he was involved in the Hail Mary as a point man.
Did you hear from the league or anything about them looking into that?
I did not.
What is a point man on Hail Mary?
The guy that high points the football.
Was he in position to do that?
I think their actions had something to do with him not being in position to do that.
Mike Broderick says that he appreciates
their actions, not his. Never George's fault.
Never George's fault.
Different standards for players like Pickens, I guess.
Yeah. Look at that.
I mean,
I don't get it.
He's just running out of the end zone.
He just runs right out.
I guess the argument he's being pushed is what Tomlin's saying. But it's just you got to get there.
It looks like he's running out, and then he gets pushed at the end. It doesn't even look like he got pushed out. It looks like he ran out, and then.
So that was Tomlin. Finish it off with Russell on Pickens. He's going to give a politically correct answer, but
of course he's always
George is always trying to make a play. Obviously, I think unfortunately, I believe he was getting pushed out, and he was trying to get to the spot, and so it's it's an unfortunate situation. He was trying to get to the spot where I threw it to, and he got carried out of the end zone on that, unfortunately. So I think he was trying to fight for the ball, and unfortunately, it's an unfortunate situation. So we got so much belief in George. Obviously, he's proven that, and what he's able to do for us, man. He's one of the world's best at what he does.
So, I mean, that's what you want, I guess, from your quarterback in that situation, at least publicly. Maybe they talk about something different behind the scenes, but I guess I am fine with that answer there from Wilson. But it does seem like we've talked about before, Pickens just has a different standard to anyone else on this team. Standard is the standard, except when it comes to George Pickens, I think is the way to look at it nowadays.
Yeah, at this point, if you're under Mike Tomlin and the standard's the standard, it doesn't matter.
Yep.
That's just what it is.
So moving on, we got the Bengals this week. The Bengals are currently a 3-point favorite. The game is going to be in Cincinnati. Over under is 47.5. So they're expecting decent scoring. That's what in the mid-20s or so that they expect from this game. I'll let Tomlin go off and say he's going to say exactly what I was going to say, and he'll say it more eloquently than me. So he's just going to bring up what the key focus in the game is against the Bengals.
Sounds good.
Obviously, you can't talk these guys without talking Joe Burrow. If you look at the tape, man, he's MVP caliber in terms of what he's doing for them. I started first with the 2 Baltimore games because of the intimacy of divisional play. Man, I don't know how many touchdowns he threw in those 2 football games. I know Chase himself had 5. It's just kind of reflective of what he and they are capable of. We got to do a really good job. We better carry enough defense schematically. But within that, we better perform at a high enough level because it's not just schematics that beats them. You better have enough schematics. You better perform it or execute it at a relatively high level. You better do a good job of providing pre-snap looks. You better blitz some. You better play coverage some. You better do a lot of things. And I think that is reflective of a quarterback in his position. I say the same thing when we play guys like Matt Stafford and so forth, guys that are anticipatory passers, guys that are at complete command of their system of offense, guys that know where all their eligibles are. And oftentimes that's illustrated by his ability to throw no-look checkdowns and things of that nature. He just knows where all his people are. When you're playing quarterbacks like that, man, you better carry enough defense. You might be able to, trick them or stay ahead of them for 20 or 30 minutes, but you better have enough defense. It's a 60-minute game. I think that's reflected in watching them play. I think oftentimes you see teams are capable of slowing him or slowing them down at the early portions of the game, but in the fourth quarter, he and they are coming on like gangbusters. And so, I've been around long enough to have an appreciation for that. I know how and why that happens. You better carry enough defense. They get comfortable as the game goes on with what it is that you're doing, what it is they need to do to be successful, and they adjust, they adapt, both the individuals and the collective. And so,
that's complimentary for a team that's 4-7, but I think it's deserving. Joe Burrow on the year through 11 games of the season, 3,000 yards, 27 TDs, only 4 interceptions.
Wow.
And then Jamar Chase, so I think he's about to go into a little bit more. He's already at 73 catches, 1,056 yards, and 12 touchdowns.
Wow.
So they've been on a roll. Here's a little bit more from Tomlin.
Yeah.
Unless you want to, you go in first. Just thoughts on what he said.
I mean, again, you have a team that's what you said 4-7, and they're playing. They're playing the best that they can. Joe Burrow is, like he said, playing at an MVP caliber gameplay today, and Jamar Chase is just a very talented wide receiver. I mean, again, it's another division game, so you can't really let your guard down. They're 4-7. You would think
4-7, but they're the 3-point favorite in this game.
Yeah.
So that's interesting to see. You don't see that often where an 8-3 team faces a 4-7 team, and they're the 4-7 team is the favorite. But it is a home game for the Bengals. It is a rivalry game. It is a divisional game. So all those play into it. But 4-7 is 4-7, right?
Yeah,
your
that's
record
it.
is what you are what your record says you are.
Exactly.
Mm-hmm.
For those reasons, man, we're obviously preparing with an edge, man. He's got some top-notch eligibles to throw the ball to, starting with number 1, Chase. He's probably tops in the league in every wide receiver statistical category. He's got top-notch talent. They do an awesome job of moving him around within their system of offense. They got some continuity there, obviously, between he and Joe, who've been in that system for a number of years now. And I think it's reflected in the many things that they asked him to do. You turn on 2024 tape, there's more pre-snap movement from him. There's more positional variation from him, making him a more difficult guy to minimize. Obviously, T. Higgins is a matchup issue. He's big. He's strong. He's got really good run after. He got the speed on us last year and had a big play and kind of, got them back in that football game. But again, when you talk about T, you're talking about a guy who is combative, man, who doesn't die easy, particularly after the catch. We got to tackle, we got to wrap. They got some new additions to their group. Gesicki at tight end, man, is a vertical threat. He's often a mashup issue. Too big for defensive backs, too athletic for linebackers, and so we're being thoughtful about how we're formulating a plan to minimize him. He's got some talented new young receivers that are emerging because Tyler Boyd obviously is no longer there. Burton is one to mention, who's had a hat in recent weeks and appears to be a downfield guy for him. I was at his pro day in Tuscaloosa last year, man. He's really talented. He's got a well-rounded game. He's got some awesome receiver skills. And then they got a turnover in the backfield with Brown. Obviously, we're used to facing Mixon over the years from them, but Brown is not new to them. He's a second-year player. He's got a well-rounded skill set for the running back position. He's good in interior runs. He's good on perimeter runs. He's got good burst, pick, and vision. He's an asset to him in the passing game, particularly in the screen game. Screens have been a challenge for us against them in recent years. I think I looked at the screen reel this morning. I think they've run 23 screens of some description against us in the last 6 games to put some perspective on how big that component of play is. And so we got a hands full in terms of some of those things on the defensive side.
That was a lot to say, but I think it is.
Yeah.
He just mentioned all the weapons they do have. Higgins has only played in 6 games this year, but he has 489 yards and 4 touchdowns.
Yeah.
Brown, he's played every game this year. He's at 600 yards. 600 yards rushing, and he's added another 207 yards receiving. So he's having a solid year. His first year, as you said, as a starter, he has 7 touchdowns in total. They got weapons. I think this game is going to be one where the Steelers are going to have to score some points and fix those the red zone woes that they've had, where they haven't really been able to score too much in the red zone, right?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, you get down there. I mean, you're in the red zone. You got to score. I mean, that's just the thing. You can't just survive off of field goals every game.
Mm-hmm.
And if you continue to not score, then you're not going to win ball games. I mean, you can only rely so much on Chris Boswell, and if they can't get down there, I mean, that's something they really need to focus on. And I hope that if they're down there in the red zone, on Sunday against the Bengals, sorry, I'd like to see some touchdowns instead of more field goals. You know what I mean? So hopefully this offense can do something. We'll have to see what happens.
Defensively, there's not they're not well known, but they do have a game record just like Garrett with Trey Hendrickson. He has 11.5 sacks on the season. I think one of the problems we have seen with Russell Wilson is he does seem to hold that ball a little too long, and it's led to, I think, 4 sacks last week. So that's something to look at when we're trying to score some points this week. It's going to be a situation where you got to keep Hendrickson in check.
Yeah,
and it would be nice to get some running game going again. Najee had that nice stretch, and then last couple games it's been a little bit tougher for him to get going. But I think this is a game where they can try to get that working for them. What are you thinking? Give me a point prediction, scoring prediction, and then give me your MVP for this week.
Well, after seeing last game and losing to a 2-7 team, I'm not too pervy on them winning this game. I don't have the high hopes that they could, come bounce back. I mean, we've seen how the Steelers play against teams that aren't that good. They play down to their competition, and then they try to play catch up at the end of the game, which I don't get. This should be a game that we win. I and again, it's a game we could lose, as we saw last week. I think that they're going. I think they're going to win. I don't have 100% faith, but I think they'll win this game, and I think the final score will be 24-20 Steelers over the Bengals.
Yeah, I think the Bengals are going to score some points this week, and the question is whether or not the Steelers can do that the same. I'm going to say yes. I'm going to give the Steelers a benefit of the doubt.
Yeah.
And let them win. They're coming off the mini bye. They're going to 10 days rest going into the game. I think we're going to look at a high scoring game. I'm going to go 34-30 final.
Okay. All right.
Probably the high scoring prediction I've given so far. Nothing compared to your. What was yours? 42 to 38 the other day.
Yeah, 42 to 38. Yeah, it was against last week, or the week with the Browns. Yeah.
And then I'm going to give Russ the MVP. I think he's going to come out here. He knows the importance of this game. He's going to get 3 touchdown passes. Steelers are going to look good. And 34-30 is my call.
My MVP is going to be, I think, T.J. Watt, because I think he didn't get to perform.
Yep.
Yeah, I think he's going to have a comeback game from last week or the week with the Browns, and I think he's going to have a comeback game for himself.
Yeah, that'll be nice to see. Other than that, Lee, enjoy your Thanksgiving.
You too.
Football's about to start here at 12:30. We have 40 minutes before football starts. This video will probably be coming out just after the afternoon games or so. But happy Thanksgiving.
Sounds good. Happy Thanksgiving. I'll see you.